Please welcome to the stage Stuart Murdoch. Hello. How are you?
Hi guys.
So, are you wholly comfortable with your new title, or
Sir.
sir, as filmmaker? Does it feel kind of weird to hear that out loud?
No, I told her it's nice to use it. I think I said immigration on the way in. I was as a movie maker or something like that. Just to roll it around your tongue and have a laugh with it. Yeah.
So, how long have you wanted to make a film? Has it always been a dream of yours, or did this just kind of happen?
It was never a dream so much as when I got my band together. I never really thought I would be a songwriter. It just happened because something came up and I had to write songs. And the same happened with the film. Really, you've got to have that big idea comes along. I think that gives you permission to go off in a new direction.
Now, I heard this big idea was born quite a few years ago out on a jog. I read in Entertainment Weekly that you took, and a song came to you, and then that song was, included on the concept album that inspired the film. Can you kind of tell me about the long process that you took, to make this film?
It definitely started. It sounds like a good story, like I was out on a run, but it was a dark night in England. It was raining. It was the middle of winter. It was Sheffield, which is an old industrial city, and I was running along one of those canals like the one in the movie, and just suddenly I heard that song that you just heard, just like that, just like the whole thing with the strings and everything, and I wrote down some of the words on a little piece of paper I carried, and from that, everything eventually rolled out. That was the seed. I thought it was going to be a girl group thing for a while, and then the character of Eve became more apparent, and I started writing more songs for her. And then eventually, when I got some time off from the band, I sat down and started writing a script.
Were you inspired by anything you were watching at the time? I see a lot of French New Wave watching the film. A lot of reviews have picked up on that, or is it just kind of solely based on, I don't know, on the song that you first envisioned?
Oh no, definitely. I mean, I know what I'm doing musically by this time, I hope, but film-wise, I'm begging and borrowing and stealing from and especially leaning on things that I love. I watched a lot of movies around that time just because I was in that kind of mood. They definitely got in the bloodstream, and I just, I thought, do I want to make a conceptual indie movie, or do I want to make something like Pretty in Pink, or do I want to make something like Grease? And I thought, I want to make something like Grease. I don't want to, if I'm going to spend some time doing this, I want to have fun doing it. But of course, I do love those Truffaut films, and I love like the Godard films, and they're in my blood as well. So maybe it's somewhere in between.
Let's watch the first clip of the film. I think we have 3 for this evening, just to give everyone a sense of the tone. So now that film's about 3 young people who come together to form a band. I want to know how much was inspired by the forming of your own band in the mid-'90s.
It would be easy to say that it was inspired, but I honestly didn't realize till the whole film was put together that there was a thread that had come through it. Because when I actually wrote the film, it was much more about the characters. It was much more just letting the characters talk. But when I saw the whole thing through, I realized that there was this quite strong thread, that the music was driving it. Forming a band thing is quite a filmic thing, it is in lots of films. And I thought, well, I used to be in a band, and what'd I say?
Exclusive at the Apple Store.
Sorry, it was a long process. I thought, well, I'm in this band, and so I definitely lent on that process and used some of that stuff. In essence, it turned out quite like the first summer that Belle and Sebastian spent together, in the regard that it was it was like a 7-way romance that we had. These guys kind of have a 3-way romance. in a kind of platonic way, and ours was a 7-way romance. You're bound together by music, and it's a wonderful thing, and you get on well, and everybody used to follow each other around to all sorts of social and fun things, and then by the end of the summer it was all over. We started arguing.
You were talking about characters earlier. I want to know what specifically inspired the backstory of the lead character. The film was played by Emily Browning, because at the outset of the film, she is suffering from an eating disorder, and she progressively gets over that over the course of the film. Why that? And
well, I remember we had got to a stage in the film where I'd written pages and pages of the guys talking, and it was quite light, and it was quite a 60s style musical where everybody kind of runs about having a good time. And Barry Mendel, who was on board as producer by this time, he was kind of like my creative partner, and he was looking at the edit, he was looking at the script, and he eventually came to the conclusion it wasn't good enough. There wasn't enough substance, there wasn't enough something driving through. And this set me back quite a bit, because I was busy with a band. I had to put the script down and leave it. But when I came back to it, I wrote a new treatment that explored maybe some of the darker side of what happened to me when I was younger, what happened to some of the people I knew round about. I'm talking like way back in the 80s and 90s here. It's a while ago. But I infused Emily with that kind of spirit. I was determined that it wasn't going to be a film about anorexia. It wasn't going to be a film about depression. I wanted her to start in a low place and be lifted by music throughout. So I guess that was some of the thinking behind it.
as a first-time director, were you wary of exploring that dark territory? Did you feel comfortable that you could pull off the correct tone and then also make a musical on top of it all?
I was pretty comfortable. I mean, if you get a chance to make a film, a feature film, how many times does that happen in your life? It was certainly the first time, could be the last time. Why wouldn't you leave everything out on the field, as they say, a sporting kind of reference? I thought, I could play it safe. We could leave the anorexia thing out. We could leave the depression thing out. We could leave the spiritual, religious aspects out. We could leave the healer should get out for a start. But we left all that. We left all that stuff in. It was esoteric and I had a friend who suffers from the same thing that Emily had, and I check in with her from time to time. And she was really enthusiastic about the project, and she saw it recently. She's in Australia, and she just loved it. So,
Emily has an amazing voice. I didn't know she sang. Does she side as a singer, or?
She's done some. Everybody who tested for the movie had to sing, so we knew what they were like. And I heard her sing in another movie clip before, and but I think the thing about her voice, and it's combined with when you see her on the screen, it's a very welcoming voice. It's very kind of, you feel like falling into it. It's not an abrasive voice, so it was great for the film. Yeah.
What was your choice? The fashion seems to be these days after Les Mis to have your actors sing live on set. But watching the film, I think I could tell that it was pre-recorded. Correct?
Well, you would think that, but
was I wrong?
No, there was some
it
of the
sounded too good.
There was some of the stuff that was done live. We were using a combination way before the whole Les Mis thing. By the way, the plan was, of course, we recorded the record beforehand. You know that because the record came out, and we were still using some of those recordings as a basis. We recorded the cast singing before we shot, but there was a number of the songs, like Come Monday Night, you're going to see shortly, I'll Have to Dance with Cassie, Down in Dusky Blonde, that we recorded live on set with a live band. There's some of Belle Sebastian in there, I think Bob's in there, and the players are actually playing, and the idea was to capture a live performance, but also to make the actors feel a little bit nervous, to make them feel like singers. And Emily was really nervous when she was doing that, and so. But afterwards, we used a mixture. We blended stuff, but the live aspect of the recording is still in there. I assure you.
Awesome. We're going to show a second clip from the film. Now, where do you side on this topic? This is one of my favorite scenes of the film. I wasn't sure if I was getting a little insight into what you make of band names, if you agree with him or not.
Well, first of all, I just think Ollie's doing some sterling work there. He took every line that I wrote and made it better, or made it believable, and made it work. He's such a talented guy. He just, he's just got it. As far as that stuff goes, I guess some of that sort of attitude that James has is a legacy, or it's left over from my days in the 80s when I was, I used to be a roadie, and before I could write a song or anything like that, and I would, night after night, I would sit on the stage of the venue that I worked in, because we did security as well. We used to have to keep people off the stage. And I would see, literally, I'd see 100 bands a year, or how many bands a year. And that's kind of how I learned my trade. It all went in, and there was so many, all the categories that he mentioned, the punks and the rockabillys, and they were all well represented over these years, and I saw them all, and there was good ones and bad ones, and you could tell the good ones straight away, and you were thinking to yourself, you guys, you are just never going to make it. You have all this industry money behind you. You've got a huge truck outside. You are just terrible. You were never going to hear from you again. Whereas, some band the next week would come in, they'd be loading the gear themselves, and you could see that they were, as soon as they got up to play, they were the real thing. And I saw some, amazing bands in my time sitting on the stage. I even, the Pixies were even played their first gig in Scotland, and So yeah, I probably got a bit of attitude around that time and put some of it in the film.
Now, you started a Kickstarter campaign, correct, for the film? A year ago to finish funding?
Yeah, it was a few years ago. It was
a few years ago.
It was
a
year before Principal Photography started, because we were in a bit of a hole. We still, we had a lot of money to raise, and Kickstarter really helped us along.
I feel like that really kind of caught fire. We posted about it on IndieWire and a lot of other sites. Were you surprised by the outpour of support for the project?
I was surprised, and in equal measure delighted. I remember saying rather flippantly that every dollar that we earned from Kickstarter would probably in the long run be worth 3 or 4 to us. I don't know why I said that, but it kind of did, because after that we started getting some private or bigger investments, and we got some money from Creative Scotland, and I think that the show of support from the ordinary, from people, just helped. It worked as a catalyst in our favor, and it was great because we didn't have a studio, we didn't have a major backer. It was me and Barry and a couple of producers just walking around London trying to raise some money.
Now, the reception for the film was so good at Sundance. I have to know that, if you're ever planning a film follow-up, and please don't take, as long as you took to bring this one to the screen, given the process you had to take.
Oh, so
if you're planning to ever make a film follow-up, if you want to make another movie.
I think I probably learned a couple of shortcuts.
Yeah.
In that time, yeah.
Awesome. So we're going to show one last clip, and then we're going to open it up to the audience.
Great.
So if you have a question, please just raise your hand, and a man's going to be coming around with a mic.
Welcome to New York.
Thank you.
I'm English, though, as you can tell. I noticed the Aladdin Sane flash on the girl's face in the first clip. Bowie had always wanted to direct, but when he made his directorial debut, he got Gillian Temple to help him, and it was only about 24 minutes long, Jazzin' for Blue Jean. It's a big step to actually have the nerve to step up to the plate and go the whole hog. Was it always your intention to direct a film of this length? And having done that and succeeded, I'm sure you won't tell us what it is, but do you have an idea about what your next movie would be about? Thanks a lot.
All right. I like that you're British, but you're using a baseball metaphor there. Step up to the plate. No, it's good. It's good. No, those are good questions. It actually wasn't until I'd been at this process for quite a while. serving this long apprenticeship, learning to try and be a screenwriter and then learning to try and be a director, even if I was just doing it in my imagination. But it was only a year out before principal photography that I actually thought, well, am I going to direct this? If somebody had come along and taken it off me, I would have been quite happy. But then I realized that it was my baby, and that it would have been like giving it up for adoption if I'd let somebody else sort of direct it. So I did have to step up to the plate and really, get into it. And it was, standing in front of a crew on the first day, it was pretty daunting. I mean, every day was pretty daunting. The whole language of filming and telling people, who knows what. I'm sure you're not going to get a mastery of that art, for many films, really. Going into the next film, if I ever get to make it, will be just as daunting, I think. I had an idea for my next film. I've actually mentioned it in some places that I wrote a description of my movie and the next movie, and then Spike Jonze made it. And it was called Her. Did you see that film? Now, of course, he made it way better than I could ever make it. But it was the same basic premise of but mine was a girl who has a computer in her house. It was the house that looks after her. And the computer was more like a Jeeves character. They didn't have sex. It was more polite, but it was like. But I saw her, and I just thought it was amazing. So. But apparently that stuff happens all the time, an idea comes along and, so you've got to grab it.
Hi. I remember when you put the call out for singers for the album, I was curious if you were initially hoping to have them be the actors for the movie, because I was surprised to see like such kind of famous faces, and then listening to the album and stuff, just wondering if that was your original intention.
Yeah, you've got right inside my head there, because right off the bat, I thought we were, way back in 2008 or 2007, whenever we were looking for casting the net wide for singers, I was sure that we would get Eve. I thought we'd get a Hannah, a Cassie as well. Because I was new to this game, I was quite willing to take raw talent into it. I wasn't interested in stars. I thought I could take, as long as we had a great singer, I thought we could take this singer right through the process. And I thought that this person would learn with me, that they would almost be like, they'd be a rookie, I'd be a rookie, and we'd go through this, because that stuff looks good on screen, people actually learning, it feels real. And then it just didn't happen. No one came along. But in the end, I was delighted that when I saw Emily and I saw her doing her audition, finally, she did a Skype audition beside Ollie on the screen, even though they were in different places. And she had this kind of air. You could just watch her. She was settled. She never overacted. She just owned the screen. And I thought, no, wait a minute. I want that. That's what I need. I'm the rookie. I need the pro. So we ended up with working actors.
Hi, Stuart. How are
Hi.
you?
I'm good, thanks.
Do you have any plans to play any of the God Help the Girl songs live at any point?
I personally don't have any plans to play them with Belle Sebastian. We did a little tour with the original God Help the Girl singers just in Britain and in Europe back in 2009. And the girls came back and played with us in Edinburgh a couple of weeks ago. We had a little reunion at the opening of the film, and it was great fun. But I think probably that chapter's coming to a close. I love writing for women. I love writing for female voices. And I'm always looking out for great new female voices. They inspire me to write. But I think I will keep that separate. I think I would disappoint myself if I sang any of the songs, really.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, good.
I've noticed on some of the Belle and Sebastian records, there'll be like photos that you have taken for the sleeves or for the inlay. So was any of that stuff helped you to, shoot the film, or were you just given the camera? And because a lot of the stuff that I've seen in the clips looks very picturesque. So if you could tell a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head, and in fact, some of the places are exactly the same as places that I shot, album sleeves. I'm trying to think. There's a clip that we just watched. There's a specific place in Glasgow. It's like this church building, and it's got big, Greek pillars coming down. And for some reason, the light's just great. And I kind of shot the cover of Dog on Wheels around there, and then actually shot a camera obscura record sleeve there as well. And it's in the film, but yeah, that was really the most experience I had with vision, with capturing pictures, was doing the record sleeves. I actually pitched that to Film 4 in London when we were trying to raise money for the film. They asked me, so, what's the style going to be like? What experience do you have? And I said, well, I shoot the record sleeves. And I think I was maybe holding up a record sleeve at the time, And it didn't work. It didn't go down very well. But, well, thanks you guys
everyone for coming out.
For coming along.
And when does the film come out in theaters? This Friday, correct?
Yes, this weekend, as far as I know. They always keep me in the dark about that stuff.
We'll be sure to check it out. And thank you, Stuart.
All right.